we move on to talk about this upcoming Bundesliga season. So we all know, unless you were living under a rock, that Bayer Leverkusen was able to completely run away with the Bundesliga last season. Completely ran away with it. They won unbeaten. They were finished unbeaten throughout the entire Premier League, entire Bundesliga campaign, finishing with 28 wins and 6 draws, 90 points, and a 34-game season, because they don't play 38 games like the Premier League does. They play 34. So getting 90 points, finishing 28 wins and 6 draws is extremely, extremely impressive. And I think what's almost as much impressive, if not even more, is the fact that in all competitions all year, they only lost one game, and it was their second to last game of the season. It was the Europa League final against Atalanta. But they were that one game away from winning a treble. Yes, not a Champions League treble, but a Europa League treble, and finishing the whole year unbeaten. That that in my opinion goes down as one of the greatest seasons of all time, and probably the greatest Bundesliga team of all time. And I think there was a Bayern team that won a treble. Yeah, there's been Bayern's teams that won a treble, but to go and win it unbeaten through all your campaigns, and also go unbeaten in the DFB Pokal and the Europa League, I don't know. That's an unbelievable season, and it's unbelievable what Xabi Alonso has done. He took a team in disarray when he took over in October 2022. He was able to guide them back into a mid-table sort of positioning. Mid-table positioning. I believe they finished, or not mid-table. They finished in Europa League position. So I think they finished around sixth place, which is a great achievement, getting them back up, because they were really low in the table. I believe, I forgot what they were, but I know they were definitely in the bottom half. They were really, really low. He was able to take them back up into sixth place, and then in the following season to achieve what he's been able to do. Absolutely brilliant. He won the German Football Manager of the Year a couple of days ago, I believe, and he ran away with it because, well, it's not even close, honestly. And the style of play that they play is an appealing sort of style of play, and it is very enjoyable to watch. So hats off to Bayern Leverkusen, but now this last season is over. You don't get to cash in checks that you cashed in for last season for this season. This season, you got to cash in new checks. You got to make some more money. And Leverkusen have an opportunity for that, and being able to retain their Bundesliga title with the fact that they've kept a lot of, all their main players that were involved in last year's team. The Florian Wirtz, the Granit Xhakas, Jonathan Tah. There was rumors of him going to Bayern Munich. And there's still some rumors happening there in terms of Bayern still going after him. Currently, right now, he's still on the squad and part of Bayern Leverkusen. But I don't think it's going to happen, honestly, because if I think it was going to happen, it would have happened a few weeks ago. I don't, why, it's been a while now. It's been a while now. What's going on? What's going on here and there? But I don't think Jonathan Tah, he's a good center back. But if Leverkusen were able to lose him, they'd bring in a fee. They could reinvest that sort of money. I don't think it'd be the biggest loss in the world. Their main guys, and the biggest thing that they were able to retain was Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso that was sought upon by Bayern Munich and Liverpool. They were able to keep Xabi Alonso, the manager, that were able to guide them up to where they are now. That's the big thing that they were able to accomplish this summer. Xabi Alonso staying, wanting to be part of a project, wanting to build something special for Leverkusen. That's the best thing that can happen for them. So yeah, I don't think there are going to be any sort of pushovers. But Bayern Munich, they're going to be a relatively unknown team in the fact that, well, in the fact that they're going to be a relatively unknown team in the fact that Vincent Company is coming in. This is a manager that's never managed a team with this sort of quality, with this sort of ilk. He's never gonna have the expectation that he's gonna have stepping into a Bayern job. He managed in not the Dutch league, but the Belgian league at Anderlecht. He managed in the Championship with Burnley. Had one season in the Premier League where they went down with Burnley, but hasn't really had those sort of real sort of expectations. And now he's going into a team that immediately expects to win a Bundesliga title, and that'll create heavy pressure for him. And he's a new manager, in terms of a young manager, new to these sort of expectations. So that's why I say it's a relatively unknown. How does he adapt to that? How do the players adapt to his sort of system? How do they take it in? This is a guy that's very similar of age in terms of some of the players in this team. When you look at players like Thomas Muller, Thomas Muller is 2 years younger, or 4 years younger than he's 4 years younger than Jurgen Klopp. I mean, not Jurgen Klopp, than Vincent Company. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very, very interesting. Now, going back to Bayern Munich, they've also had a very good transfer window, in my opinion. They brought in Michael Olise, a potential world class talent from Crystal Palace. They brought in João Palhinha, Fulham defender, who has the ability to do a lot of the defensive work in the midfield, but also has a great passing range. And it's interesting to see what happens now with Joshua Kimmich, with João Palhinha coming in. I think this pushes João Kimmich permanently to right back now, which I think is kind of happening already. But they were able to sign Hiroki Ito, the Japanese center half from Stuttgart. They signed Brian Zaragoza, sort of a young sort of player from Granada, a player sort of the future. And then they were able to sign Eric Dyer after the loan on a free transfer. So they've been busy in the window, and they've gotten, specifically with Michael Olise and João Palhinha, two sort of players that can immediately make a difference with this team. And Hiroki Ito. They have signed 3 players that will immediately make a difference in this team, add squad depth. I think the biggest thing was Vincent Company, the biggest issue that he needs to solve, and it's kind of good that that he used to play this sort of position, and that's the center back. They've been a center back travesty at Bayern Munich over the past few years. They've spent high amount of monies on De Ligt, on Dayot Upamecano, on De Ligt, Upamecano. It goes on and on. The names are blanking right now. But Kim Min-jae. They've spent a ridiculous amount of money on center halves over these past few years, but they have not been able to have that partnership, that solid partnership, game in, game out, to make the difference. They have not had that partnership, despite all the money that they've invested at the center halves. They've had De Ligt, who has a lot of injury issues, never been consistent at the club. Upamecano, who's a mistake waiting to happen. Kim Min-jae, who's made mistakes this season. They need to create that sort of consistency in that center back position. There needs to be a sort of consistency. Hiroki Ito coming in, they hope that he's the answer. But Vincent Kompany, he has to develop that, and I think he will. I think he'll be able to handle that center back issue. They also have Josip Stanisic, who's a outside center back sort of player, could play center back. He's coming in from loan, had a good season at Leverkusen. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. They have some ability player. They really are the biggest contenders to Leverkusen, in my opinion, because if you have to say Leipzig. They're gonna be losing Dani Olmo, even though they retain Xavi Simons. Can they take that next step there to compete with Leverkusen? I just don't quite think so. Dortmund, they had a poor season last season. Now Nuri Sahin coming in, despite the fact that they reached the Champions League final last season, they had a poor Bundesliga campaign. Now it's Nuri Sahin coming in again, relative unknown. This is a guy that's never really managed at that sort of level. So, yeah, I think Leverkusen can most definitely retain their Bundesliga title. When you look at the lack of an experience from the coaches from Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich, and then the rest of the teams, Stuttgart, I don't think they can make that sort of jump. Same with Leipzig. I think Leverkusen find themselves in a good spot right now because of the players that they've been able to retain and the manager that they were able to retain this summer.